Hello, Rainy.
Hello, Lollie.
Rainy, I have got a biggin for you today, loves.
Jeez, when are they not biggins, you know?
I know, but sometimes you come across these cases and it's like, is this a bloody movie script? Like, what is going on here? And this is one of those cases. It's just insane. So no time to waste, guys. Sit down, strap in, let's go.
Boom.
April 11th, 2007. We're going to go to Pleasant Grove in Utah, USA. What goes on in Utah? There seems to be a lot of crazy people, a lot of crime, a lot of murders. So look, it's April 11th, 2007, and we've got a Martin MacNeill arriving home with his 6-year-old daughter. It's about 11:30 in the morning. He's picked her up a little early from school, and they head into their beautiful home. Martin says, Ada, why don't you run up and go see your mum? Go check on your mum. So Ada runs up the stairs, Mummy, Mummy. And then all of a sudden, the tone of excitement turns to extreme horror. Martin downstairs all of a sudden hears his young 6-year-old daughter screaming for dad because something is wrong with her mum. Martin makes his way up the stairs as quick as he can, and he finds his 50-year-old wife, Michele MacNeill, unconscious in the bathtub.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit, indeed. In a panic, Martin is trying to pull his wife out of the tub. It's like a jacuzzi-type tub, and he can't get her out. So he says to his 6-year-old daughter, quickly run next door, go and get a neighbour. I need help pulling your mother out of the bathtub. And then he proceeds to call 911.
We have a police department transfer medical. I need an ambulance. Okay, what's the problem, sir? Lee Medical. Sir, what's wrong?
I'm falling in the bathtub.
Who's in the bathtub? Who's in the bathtub?
My wife.
Okay, is she conscious?
She's not. I'm a physician.
Okay, sir. Sir, I need you to calm.
Physician.
Sir, I can't understand you, okay? Can you calm down just a little bit? Okay, your wife is unconscious?
She is unconscious. She's underwater.
Okay, did you get her out of the water?
I can't. I couldn't start. Let the water out. She's not in progress.
She's under the water?
She is out of the water now. Woman, we're going to get an ambulance.
Okay, is she breathing at all?
She is not.
Okay, sir, the ambulance has been paged. They're on their way, okay? Do not hang up. What? Sir? Why would an adult female be so... Sir, this is 911. Can I help you?
I need help.
Okay, sir, they're on their way. Is your wife breathing?
She is not. I am a physician. I got CPR in progress.
You're doing CPR. Do you know?
No,
Sir, how old is your wife?
my wife is 50 years old. She just had surgery here a couple of days or a week ago.
What kind of surgery did she have?
She had a facelift.
She had a facelift?
Yes.
Okay, do you know how to do CPR?
I'm doing it.
Okay, do not hang...
I mean, okay, yes, emergency, but fuck, dude, a bit aggressive.
I know. Look, loves, there was a lot of yelling. We don't really know how we will act in those scenarios, but all I can say is stop yelling at this poor woman that's trying to help you, right? Mm-hmm. He hung up 3 times.
So, yeah, like, just keep her on the other end.
Martin is very frantic. I don't know if you heard, but he was saying multiple times he's a physician because that is Dr. Martin MacNeill. He has CPR in progress. The neighbour, Doug, arrived shortly afterwards. He has come in and helped pull poor Michele out of the bath, and he is standing by watching Martin perform CPR, and nothing is really happening. Then the paramedics arrive. Again, life-saving measures are in practice, but unfortunately Michele would not pull through, and she was pronounced dead not long after being found in that bathtub.
Jesus.
So we're going to get into a little background of Martin and Michele and figure out how the WTF did we actually get here. Michele MacNeill was born in Concord, California. And she was drop dead gorgeous. Blonde American gal next door. She was a straight A student. She was the homecoming queen. She was a model, and she also was a beauty pageant winner. She was Miss Concord, California. What a catch.
Sounds like my kind of gal.
She is our kind of gal. She was also a Mormon, Rainy, so maybe she wasn't your kind of gal.
Maybe I take that back.
Yes. So she was a part of the Mormon Church, the Latter-day Saints. Guys, you know we're experts on Mormonism.
Did she have lots of hats?
She probably did. We won't get into the details. You can go back to episode 27 if you wish to dive deep into Mormonism. But she was a wonderful, beautiful, kind-hearted woman. One day back in the 70s, she was at a singles night at the Mormon Church, and she met a Martin MacNeill. And these two, they hit it off.
Nice.
They were both Mormons and they were looking for love. And look, these guys, they wasted no time. Within a few months, these guys got married. And Rainy, no time to waste, because over the next 5 years, Michelle would pop out 4 children.
Woo, pound town.
Pound down. Damn, girl.
Shucks.
But also, if you do the math, you're pregnant for a long time.
Who has time for that?
I don't know. I just don't know. That's a long time to be pregnant. But it just goes to show that this woman was incredible. Martin, he was a really smart man. He actually went on to become a osteopathic physician and surgeon. And if that wasn't enough, guys, he also became a lawyer. So he's smart. Oh. He's got his baby poppin' beauty queen on the side, and
he also just wanted to get the fuck out of the house. It's studying.
Look, you're not wrong. You know, he got his medical degree, and then he's like, you know what? What's another degree I can do that's going to take a long time? But Rainy, 4 children just wasn't enough for these guys. Okay,
why would it be?
Why would it be? They were obsessed with children. They went on to adopt 4 more kids.
No, they didn't.
They did. So there was 8 children.
Wow. I mean, that is phenomenal.
It is actually phenomenal. And I feel like there's something wrong with me because I can't even manage one. So like what?
You can manage one. You don't want to manage 8. You can manage one.
I'm like, how do people do that many children, Rainy?
Oh, I don't know. You're fine.
It's a lot, isn't it? It wasn't like she accidentally got pregnant. That was a choice. Michelle went on to adopt 3 children from the Ukraine. So even more amazing, she just went and rescued these children that needed help. Essentially, they needed to be loved and looked after. So she took in these 3 children. One of their biological children got pregnant very young. Martin and Michelle actually went on to adopt this little girl, which was Ada, the girl we heard about in the beginning. So that was their granddaughter, but they adopted her. So look, huge family, very well loved in the community, in the Mormon church. From the outside looking in, these guys, they literally had it all. They had all the children. Right. They had big, beautiful home. Michelle was gorgeous. Martin was, he was an all right looking dude. And they were just living the American dream.
With their basketball team.
With their basketball team, with the Brady Bunch. Things become a little strange, Rainy, around the time Martin turns 50. All of a sudden, Martin becomes very obsessive with his self-image. So he starts to drop a bunch of weight. He's going to the gym. He's got a new funky cool wardrobe, and he's going to the tanning salon.
Midlife crisis? Did he have a red sports car?
Well, possibly. But this definitely became a little suspicious because Michelle began to think that perhaps Martin was having an affair.
Fair enough.
What else would he be doing?
Maybe he's gay.
You're only going to the solarium if you're having an affair or you're gay. All right? There's no other alternative. So Michelle confronts Martin because she has to know what the fuck's going on, Martin.
Fair enough.
And Martin was appalled at these accusations and decided to deflect and told Michelle, well, maybe she wants to have a facelift.
I'm like, sweet, that is the best ending of a fight I've ever heard. Sign me up.
Okay, but I know it sounds funny, but like I'm not even joking you. So she goes to him and is wanting to know what is going on. Are you having an affair? Martin's been staying at work late. He's been very secretive with his phone. All the major red flags and warning signs are there. And Michelle's no idiot. She's raised 8 children. She's goddamn superwoman. She knows. But
That's
Martin
right.
thinks that Michelle needs to start looking after herself and matching his beautiful bronzed skin and fancy wardrobe and ripped biceps. So he says, listen, honey, I think you need to go in for a full facelift. And Michelle, feeling very insecure about herself, about her marriage, she agrees. If you want to have a facelift, that's great. But it's a bit of a dick move, isn't it? When your husband says it's time for a facelift. Like, how would that make you feel?
Yeah. If you're not that way inclined, pretty bad.
Yeah,
I am
definitely.
that way inclined.
Yes. But she had never had any surgery before. It was never on the radar. So this is a mother of 8 children, a churchgoer. The facelift wasn't on the cards.
You're like, dude, you did your wedding vows. You know, grow old and ugly together, right?
That is all part of the contract. Mm-hmm. Michelle was open to it, so she went along to see the surgeon. Michelle had a little high blood pressure, so he did recommend that she maybe try and reduce her blood pressure, maybe lose a little bit of weight. Michelle wasn't by any means overweight, but she could have lost maybe a little bit just to make sure she was at the optimal
surgery weight.
So Martin was definitely against this idea because he needed Michelle to have the surgery right now. He had told Michelle, I've paid for the anesthetic, I've booked the theatre room, and you're doing it basically. So within a matter of a couple of weeks, she was in the operating theatre on that table getting a full-blown facelift. Everything was being lifted and tucked and sewed and cut. She got it all. I don't really know much about facelifts, but I think she got like a mid-face, a low face, the eyes, everything. She was on the operating table for almost 9 hours.
Holy shit.
When she woke up, she did stay in the hospital overnight, and then the next day she went back to her Pleasant Grove home in Utah to recover. Michelle had her oldest daughter, Alexis, come to stay with her. So Alexis was 18 years old at the time, and she was actually a medical student. So she was all on board to help with taking care of her mum, making sure that she got all her medication, and just making sure she was comfortable.
Fair enough.
Martin had gone to the surgeon and requested a certain amount of medication for Michelle because he had implied that Michelle had a very low pain tolerance and he needed to make sure that she had everything on hand just to make her recovery as comfortable as possible.
So sweet.
The surgeon, so lovely. The surgeon was a little hesitant. These were the things he wouldn't normally prescribe. So we had Ambien, Valium, oxycodone, Phenergan, and then a antibiotic. So these are quite dangerous when taken in conjunction with one another, but the surgeon felt comfortable because remember, Martin is a doctor.
That's right.
So they go home. They've got their bag full of pills and Michelle is bandaged up to the nines. She can't see. She's got pads over the eyes, over the face. She's swollen. She's very uncomfortable.
Could you imagine? 9 hours. Everything's basically been sliced and pulled.
Oh, yeah. And even just having your vision gone for, a week is pretty horrific. The first night at home, everything's going well. Alexis goes to bed. And when she gets up in the morning to go check on her mum is unresponsive. She is absolutely smashed, KO'd. She is drugged up to the nines.
Damn.
In a panic, Alexis goes and confronts her dad and says, what has happened? You've given her too much medication. Martin has said, well, yeah, maybe I've over-medicated her. She'd vomited, so I gave her some more pills because I was worried that she'd thrown up the pills. So, look, maybe that was the case, but a little bit concerning. Alexis said, Dad, I will take care of the medication from now. Just leave it. Daddy.
Red flags, Daddy.
Alexis really stood up over the next few days to take care of her mum, and the recovery was actually going pretty well. Michelle went back to the doctor, had some of her bandages removed, and things were healing and she was doing really well. She was able to drop some of the medication, so just in general, not being in that medicated fog, she was doing good. Before Alexis left, Michelle asked her daughter to give her each pill so she could have a feel for the way that of the size and the shape so she could get an idea of what she was taking, because Michelle was a little concerned that maybe Martin was giving her too many pills. She was scared.
That's so bad.
It is very bad. And
Wow.
Alexis thought, Mom, don't be so silly. Don't be so silly. In that moment, Michelle said to Alexis, if anything happens to me, just make sure it wasn't your dad.
Could she not see at this time, or what the
No,
fuck?
she'd have her little eye patches on. You know, she had like the lid lifts and everything, so they've literally taken out skin from the eyelids and sewn it together. I mean, holy Lord, it would just be so painful. Alexis thought this was a little bit extreme, but wanted to help her mum. She reassured her, don't be so silly. Dad loves you. He would never do anything to hurt you. She stayed for a few more days, and then Alexis went back to Las Vegas to get back to her studies on April the 10th, 2007, so about 7 days after the initial surgery, because she felt like her mum was doing really well. April 11th, 2007, that brings us back to the beginning of our story. Alexis gets up in the morning in Las Vegas and she rings her mum. Hey mum, how you doing? Michelle was doing really well. She felt great. She had no medication that day. She was feeling like the recovery was going really well. She was getting really excited to see her new face because, well, you know, if she's come this far, you got to be a little bit excited because...
Absolutely.
Yes, this was around 8:15 in the morning. And then not long after 9, Alexis gets a phone call from her dad and left a voicemail saying, Alexis, can you please call your mum and just make sure she doesn't do too much today? Send her back to bed. I'm worried she's doing too much. She needs to recover. Alexis thought this was strange. She'd just spoken to mum. Everything was going well. So around 11:45, Alexis has come out of class and she starts to call her mum, and her mum's not answering. And then all of a sudden, her dad answers the phone and he is screaming, saying, your mum is unresponsive in the tub. I've called 911. I'm doing CPR. Ooh. And he hangs up the phone. So Alexis is thinking, what the actual fuck is going on here? She's in a panic, doesn't understand how this is even happening.
Yeah.
Alexis gets in the car and she's driving to the airport, and her mind immediately takes her back to that conversation with her mum.
Fair enough.
If anything happens to me, make sure it wasn't your father. And she is crying and she begins to scream in the car, he killed her, he killed her. Like, she just knows. She knows that her dad had something to do with this. So she manages to get on a flight and she gets back to her Utah home, and she gets into the house and immediately she asks Dad, where's the medication? Because she wants to count it, because she had actually counted everything and she wants to know what is there and what is left. And Martin says, I don't know, it's in the garage. So she runs to the garage. She's trying to find it. She finds some of her mum's clothes, like wet with blood on them. Very strange. Doesn't really think much more of it because she's trying to find the pills.
Weird.
And she can't find them. So then later on, she approaches her dad again. And then her dad says, oh, I got your brother's girlfriend to flush them down the loo.
What the fuck?
Because I couldn't stand the sight of them. It made me so upset. That's strange.
Wow. I mean, come on, Dad.
Yeah, very, very strange. So she's thinking, righto, Daddy. She also started to do a little more digging because she just thought, you know what? Fuck you, Papa.
Just quickly, she's only 18, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Michelle's body goes off for an autopsy. Martin wastes no time. The funeral is scheduled for 3 days. Why? Is this a Mormon thing?
Ah.
Because I did remember that was the same with old Chad Daybell's wife.
That's right.
Mormons, 3 days later.
It's a murderous thing, I think.
Oh, the kids were like, holy shit, okay, all right, fine. 3 days later, Michelle's funeral would take place. Now, Michelle's family weren't the biggest fans of Martin, and he did not invite them to the funeral. They were not allowed to come.
What? Ooh, family drama right there.
Martin is at the funeral. Not that sad, Rainy. He makes comments about being a bachelor again, and I can't believe I'm single. Gets up to say a few words. He speaks for 30 minutes and barely even references Michelle. He talks about himself the whole time.
Of course he did.
During this funeral, there was this woman there. No one really knew who this woman was. It's very strange. There was this random lady in the background. This woman was Gypsy Willis. The name says it all.
Gypsy. I
Fucking
mean,
gypsy.
how old was she? 24?
I actually don't know how old she was. But this woman would turn out to be Martin's mistress. So Michelle's fears were right all along. And old dirtbag Martin MacNeill had been having an affair with Gypsy Willis for about 2 years at this point.
And she went to the funeral.
This bitch went to the funeral.
I mean,
can you even believe it?
I would be rolling in my grave.
Oh, this poisonous hoe. So,
yeah. And also poisonous husband.
Yeah,
Ew.
disgusting. So look, Martin, not that sad. He has to get on with life. Remember, Martin's got a lot of children. He's also a physician. He has to go to work. April 17th, 6 days after Michelle dies, he decides to take his daughter Rachel to the temple to do some praying, to pray for a nanny to come their way. And as they're there praying to Mormon Jesus Christ, this woman approaches, says, "Why, hello there. Were you looking for a nanny?" I mean, this was
Miracle.
the angel Mary Poppins floated in and with her umbrella. She was the answer to his prayers. And he is like, "Oh, hi, how are you? What's your name?" And she goes on to say, "My name's Gillian Willis."
Oh, that sounds awfully familiar.
It does. And he's like, "Wow, so lovely to meet you." And Rachel's sitting there going, "Okay, cool. Who's this person?" They have a chat. Could you believe it, Rainy? Gillian Willis moves into the house to be the nanny about 9 days after Michelle has died.
I mean, how dumb? How
I
dumb
know.
are these people? I mean,
know.
come on.
So she's in there. She's going to be helping with the workload of the children. How lovely. Alexis, who remember is 18 years old, she's already feeling a little suspicious about this whole thing. She has been doing some digging because she knows that her mum was suspicious of her dad. So she's been going through all of his phone records and she finds this one number that comes up over and 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 over again. She puts it in Google and the name that pops up is a Gypsy Gillian Willis. Fucking Mary Poppins.
Come on, like seriously, use a different name, guys.
Honestly, can you believe it? Okay, so Alexis is like, this dirtbag's been cheating on mum. She comes home to find the nanny. Martin goes to introduce the nanny and says, "This is Gillian Willis." And Alexis is like, "Oh, Gypsy Gillian Willis? I know who she is, Dad." And Daddy does not like this tone and this begins a bit of an argument between the two of them. Ultimately, what happens is Daddy-O kicks Alexis out of the house because she is treating their guest, who's supposed to be the nanny, unfairly.
Absolutely. How dare she?
As time goes on, it's pretty obvious that old Mary Poppins is actually
sucking his dick.
That's right. She's doing a little more than what was required in the description of the job.
She's going above and beyond.
Above and below. Mary Poppins would go into Daddy's bedroom every night, so the kid's like, well, that's weird. Alexis knows exactly what's going on. Already this is sounding terrible. But the autopsy would finally come back. And to Alexis's surprise, the results come back that Michelle has died from natural causes.
What?
Yes, they have said that she had myocarditis, so inflammation of the heart, cardiovascular disease, and high blood pressure.
Yes, she did.
Very strange. And remember, she's found in the bathtub, so why was it not ruled as a drowning? It's very, very odd. Alexis is like, this just can't be right. This cannot be right. So she is going back to the police station and she wants this case to be reopened because she's like, look, my dad was having an affair. The mistress moved in 9 days later. This is all very strange. And they pretty much laugh her out of the friggin' police station.
Oh, how horrific.
Terrible. Now, more things would go on, Rainy, and what would happen is Daddy Dickhead would send one of their Ukrainian daughters, Giselle, back to the Ukraine to visit her family. She was supposed to go for 2 months, but this 2 months would go on for almost a year. He literally just deserted her there, but this was all part of a bigger plan, Rainy. While Giselle was away, Martin would take her social security number and he then took his mistress, Gypsy Willis, her birth certificate, and he created this fake birth certificate. And they essentially created this brand new identity for Gypsy. And this
What?
identity would become Gillian MacNeill. This is because Martin proposed to Gypsy 3 months after Michelle's death, and they were going to get married. But Gypsy, she came with some baggage. $70,000 worth of baggage of tax debt. And Martin's like, I'm not fucking paying that. I'm not doing it. It's not for me. What he did was he created this fake identity with his daughter's social security number and basically gave it to his new fiance so she would be debt-free, clean slate, start again, Gypsy's in the trash. Who cares about your debt? Can you believe it?
Okay. Whoa. It's kind of clever. It's fucking terrible.
It is terrible. This is back in 2007 that this is all happening. So I'm thinking, how can you just create a fake birth certificate and open bank accounts and steal social security numbers? This isn't like the 70s. It's very, very strange. This is terrible. But finally, in the background, Alexis has found someone that will look into this case.
Good.
A Doug Whitney is going to reopen the investigation.
Go on, Doug.
As all of this is going on, finally someone goes to rescue Giselle over in the Ukraine. It was almost a year later. This poor girl was literally left. It was terrible. And there have been reports that Martin was trying to get the other children adopted as well. The younger Ukrainian girls. I know, he's disgusting, sick man. The investigation goes on, Rainy. They are reopening the autopsy, so they want to get a new toxicology test done. They found another pathologist to run the report on her autopsy to see if they can find something else in the ruling with her death.
Good.
As this investigation begins, it would expose some pretty crazy truths about old Daddy Dearest. And it turns out Martin MacNeill was a big, fat con man. When they start digging into Martin's background, it turns out that when he was 17 years old, he enrolled in the military. And after 2 years, he started to talk about voices in his head. He started going on about having all these disturbing thoughts and voices in his head. He would eventually get a diagnosis of bipolar and schizophrenia, so they would kick him out of the military and he would be on a veteran's benefit, which he would be getting pretty much over the next 30 years. So that's one thing. Very, very strange. Just keep a little pin in that. It would be discovered that he falsified his records to get into medical school, so he had used somebody else's grades to get into medical school, so he wasn't even really qualified to go into med school. But look, he still was smart enough to do all that and then also get his degree.
Yeah.
In the 70s, not long before he met Michelle, he had gone on a massive spending spree. It was over the span of 3 days. He basically was writing fake checks and he spent about $35,000 on things like socks and diamond rings and chocolate covered cherries. They're saying that $35,000 in today's money would be like 150 grand.
Jesus. Must be nice socks.
Cashmere. There were rape and sexual assault allegations that came out of the clinics that he was working for.
Ooh.
Disgusting sicko man. All of this was unknown to his children, so a real shock. So everything that they thought they knew about their dad was essentially a big fat lie.
Yeah.
This was quite scary, these revelations. And also, you've got to remember that going back to the diagnosis of schizophrenia and bipolar, I don't know how on earth he would go ahead to then get a medical degree and law degree.
Do you think that maybe he faked that so he could get that benefit?
That's right. So they were saying that over the next 30 years, he was getting an average to be about $3,000 a month. So he scammed $1 million out of the government. Look, there's no denying he's clever. Okay, he's a clever man. But everything would start to unravel because Giselle would come back to the United States.
Good.
To resume her identity, and this would set off big red flag warning bells in the system, and then all of a sudden we have two identities, two people with the same social security number. So this would be the undoing of Martin MacNeill. In 2009, Gypsy and Martin would both be arrested and charged with identity theft.
Well, isn't that a surprise?
Isn't that a surprise? So Martin pleads guilty and he is sentenced to 4 years in prison. Ooh. And old Jezebel Gypsy would be sentenced to 21 months in jail. Now, this is not the end of our story because the autopsy results for Michelle would finally come back. It would be revealed that Michelle died of drug toxicity, so essentially a drug overdose, and it was saying that it would be impossible that she would have administered those drugs. It also was revealed that the drugs would have been administered about an hour prior to her death. So that was probably not long after Alexis got off that phone call with her mum, where her mum was saying how she was feeling great.
Yeah. God, that's horrific.
The investigation is going on and they are trying to figure out how they're going to get the bastard. A few other things would come to light. So if we go back to that 911 call where Martin was hanging up the phone multiple times, he had given a fake address. He didn't know his address and he gave a wrong address. So that would have taken about an extra 10 minutes for the paramedics to arrive because they went to the wrong address. When the neighbour arrived, he had said when he was watching him do CPR, no water came out of Michelle's lungs. He wasn't really seeing the rise and fall of her chest. So it is claimed that he wasn't actually blowing any air into her mouth. And when the paramedics arrive, they start doing CPR and then all this water comes out of Michelle.
And he will know how to do CPR.
He will know how to do CPR. He's a doctor. When everyone leaves to take Michelle's body to the hospital, Doug, the neighbour, has stayed there and he has gone to find some towels. He wants to clean things up. He doesn't want the children to come and find this terrible, terrible scene, but he couldn't find any towels. So he went down into the laundry and he found this pile of wet towels that were covered in this bloody mucus substance, which he thought was very, very strange. It was also revealed that Michelle's face, when she was discovered in the bath, was covered in this mucus as well. Very, very odd.
Yeah.
You know, there was maybe potentially some sort of struggle going on.
Oh, Lord.
Look, Gypsy, she wants to strike a deal with the prosecution. Ooh. And she has said, I will testify against Martin if I get a reduced sentence. And the prosecution is like, yes, we will take you up on that. She just gets 3 years probation and she is going to testify if they can press charges against Martin, it goes to court. Time goes on, Rainy, and in July 2012, Martin would be released from jail from those identity theft charges and he goes home and he thinks he's a free man.
Hallelujah.
August 24th, about 5 weeks later, the police would come a-knocking and they arrest and charge Martin with the murder of his wife.
Suck on that. Nice.
Suck on that. And this was such a welcomed arrest from his daughters, the older daughters, because they had been fighting for years because they really were fighting for justice for their mum because they knew deep down that he had something to do with this.
So awful.
It is so awful. It would go to trial in October 2013. So remember, Michelle died April 2007, so this is a long time. The daughters would take the stand. Gypsy would take the stand. She didn't really have that much to say. She didn't have some big revelation into knowing that he'd done anything to Michelle. But another witness would come out, and this was Anna Osborne, who was another mistress of old Martin.
Sick fucker.
He was having an affair with Anna, and then he decided to have an affair with Gypsy on Anna, who was having an affair on Michelle.
Damn.
It's a big, stinky, nasty web of lies. This woman was a bit of a psycho. She idolized, she liked serial killers and was really into death and whatnot. And she had said that Martin had confessed to her that he had killed his brother.
What?
Martin had 5 siblings, and Rainy, there's only one of them left. 3 of them killed themselves and the other one died of natural causes. But that is strange. And his brother was a drug addict and just basically brought a lot of shame to the family. And Anna had said that Martin told her that he found his brother in a bathtub. He was highly intoxicated, just
fucked off his face.
And Martin just thought he'd do him a favour and push him down under the water.
Jesus.
Now, this brother did die in the bathtub, but we don't know. Is that true? Is that not true? It could just be some made-up story.
Familiar.
Sounds very, very familiar.
Likes bathtubs, doesn't he?
Yes. So with the autopsy result, there was speculation that perhaps Michelle did die of a dry drowning. Now, this is a wild phenomenon. I know.
A dry drowning?
Yes, a dry drowning. So this is when your body literally shuts off the breathing capacity. So you can't breathe. It blocks off the breathing tube. Sorry, guys, I don't know the medical terms. So you stop breathing water into your lungs. So what they're saying is she probably did drown, but there is a possibility it was a dry drowning, so not too much water was taken into her lungs. And when the paramedics have done CPR, she has coughed up the little water that was in her lungs. But again, it was ruled as that drug toxicity. She had Ambien in her system, Valium, she had the antibiotics and Phenergan. Why is she taking Ambien at 9 a.m? She's just had a phone call with her daughter saying she's feeling great. So obviously this is super, super suspicious. This trial went on for a few weeks and the jury went to deliberate for 11 hours and they came back and found Martin MacNeill guilty of first-degree murder of his wife.
Well, I mean, it took long enough, but Jesus.
When the verdict was read out, Alexis let out this big almost scream of relief, and the whole family just burst into tears. They couldn't believe it, that they were finally getting justice for their beautiful mother who was taken away in a sick, twisted plastic surgery plot to end her life. And it is just so, so sad. If we really break it down, this was the most premeditated, planned murder, Rainy.
I know.
He had planned for Michele to get plastic surgery so he could kill her by overdosing her on drugs. That was the plan.
I mean, it sounds like a bit of a waste of money. Just leave her.
I know.
Fucking
Well,
idiot.
there was talks that she would get the children in the house, and
Sounds like you didn't
just
want the children.
It's outrageous. Coming back to him working out, getting all buff and shredded, and then he couldn't even lift his wife out of the tub. So all of those things that he was doing, not getting her out of the water, waiting for the neighbour to come, giving the false address, not doing CPR. This was just to ensure that Michele would not survive that incident. So he's a very sick man.
Disgusting.
So he is sentenced to prison, 15 years to life. He's also sentenced to another 15 years for obstruction. And this dirtbag, he goes to prison.
Good.
Our story doesn't end there.
Oh, shit.
Doesn't.
Oh, Lord. Why is that?
In 2017, 61-year-old Martin MacNeill would be found dead in the greenhouse in the prison grounds. He died by suicide.
Coward.
No, it is really, isn't it?
How did he what did he do? How did he do it?
Well, it says that he'd killed himself with the natural gas hose that provided the fuel to the greenhouse.
Wow.
He obviously couldn't face a lifetime in prison, but was it worth it, Martin?
No.
What an absolute mess. You literally had, after you murdered your wife, 18 months of freedom. It just is a perfect example of just get a goddamn divorce, guys.
I know, right?
Seriously.
So stupid. Idiots.
So look, that is the crazy story. We have Alexis, who has gone on to become a medical doctor. She adopted the younger daughters as well and had them in her full-time care. And she dropped her dirty last name, MacNeill, and took her mother's maiden name of Summers. And she didn't want to have any association with that dirtbag, the man that ruined everything, took away their beautiful mother and ruined 8 children's lives.
Horrible.
It's horrible. So there you go. Pretty crazy, wild story. Rainy, can you handle that crime and scandal?
No. Surprise. No, I cannot. Poor lady, children. Oh, dirty dad, gypsy, Gillian Gilhouse, whatever her name is. No, I cannot. And, you know, like I said, just get a divorce, guys.
I just can't believe the amount of stories that these cases that we researched. It's just divorce just seems so much easier than murdering someone.
There's all very similar patterns in all of these stories.
That is crazy.
So, Lollie, can you handle this bathtub crime and scandal?
I cannot handle. The only thing I can handle is a free facelift, but the rest of it is just absolutely terrible. And I honestly, hats off to these women, because the daughters of Michele that just fought tooth and nail. They were not going to let this thing go. And it's amazing to think that, you know what, if they didn't persist with it, and if he didn't take the social security number of Giselle and give it to Gypsy, he possibly would have gotten away with it because the prosecution has said this was almost the perfect murder. So
Almost. Wow.
Very, very lucky. So look, yes, that's our crazy facelift plastic surgery scandal for the week. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And you can find us at Can't Handle the Crime and Scandal on Facebook, on Instagram. I think Rainy's revived the TikTok. Guys, we've got 14 followers. Come on over.
We both want to say a big, massive shout out to Lindsay in
Hi,
Kaikoura. He works for Road Medals and he gets out there on the Mondays and he listens to us every week. So we really appreciate your support and, just share the love.
Thanks, Lindsay. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. Enjoy your week, guys. We'll see you next Monday for another episode of Can't Handle the Crime and Scandal. Take care. And if someone offers you a free facelift, just make sure you administer your own painkillers.
That's right. All right. Be safe out there, guys.
Love you. Bye.
Love you, Lollie. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.